Little is known about this individual, Barack Obama. He did a lot, not for the country, but for himself. He preached about immigration, about there needed to be change, about how America was on the cusp of major winds of change. A mayor senator out of Illinois decided it was time.
Every time. So I just joined in the chant for the rest of the day. Even after we left Greenwood, I was feeling kind of good every time I saw my staff. I said, "You fired up?" They said, "I'm fired up, boss. You ready to go?" I said, "I'm ready to go." So it goes to show you how one voice can change a room. And if one voice can change a room, then it can change a city. And if it can change a city, then it can change a state. And if it can change a state, then it can change a nation. And if it can change a nation, then it can change the world. Your voice can change the world. Are you fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Let's go change the world.
He fought his way in the DNC in 2007 and 2008, facing tough competition, specifically Hillary Clinton herself. But somehow this man persevered. One thing that they weren't expecting was his mouth, the gift of gab. It was his time. Then it comes in. He wins a nomination by July and August. 2008 would be an unusual election.
Tonight, I think about all that she's seen throughout her century in America. The heartache and the hope, the struggle and the progress. The times we were told that we can't, and the people who pressed on with that American creed, yes we can. When there was despair in the Dust Bowl and depression across the land, she saw a nation conquer fear itself with a new deal, new jobs, a new sense of common purpose. Yes, we can. When the bombs fell on our harbor and tyranny threatened the world, she was there to witness a generation rise to greatness and a democracy was saved. Yes, we can. She was there for the buses in Montgomery, the hoses in Birmingham, a bridge in Selma, and a preacher from Atlanta who told the people that we shall overcome. Yes, we can. A man touched down on the moon. A wall came down in Berlin. A world was connected by our own science and imagination. And this year, in this election, she touched her finger to a screen and cast her vote. Because after 106 years in America, through the best of times and the darkest of hours, she knows how America can change. Yes, we can. What progress will we have made? This is our chance.
At what point did these people realize that this whole country would go through 8 years of tyranny, all because he said, yes, we can? What were we saying yes, we can to? A healthcare plan that would destroy this country. People losing their jobs. Young adults making decisions because of forced decisions from this administration. All because a simple Medicare bill would create so many problems. Losing doctors, skyrocketing rates, people dropping their insurance just on the fact they couldn't afford it no more. That's just this. And there was this, the situation in Libya. How a short span of time things would deteriorate. Gaddafi being taken out of power. 4 men's lives that were taken because of careless decision making by an administration that couldn't get them the help when the time was right. Bailing out banks that were failing left and right after a stagnant stock market crash. An automobile maker that was even being bailed out after being on the verge of bankruptcy. There was even controversy about his birth certificate as to whether he was born in the United States. And just as if when it does surface, it was a long form, it comes out. Long forms were not made before 1965. It raised tremendous suspicion on whether he was a United States citizen.
That night and said it was an Al-Qaeda-like group that did this. The next day she told the Prime Minister of Egypt, we know that the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack.
So then how could she have her subordinate go on television 2 days later?
Wait a minute. I got a montage of them. Let me go to the montage to remind people. So they knew that day and the day after it was a terror attack, but this is the lie they told you.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with.
We have no information to suggest that it was a pre-planned attack. The unrest we've seen around the region has been in reaction to a video that many Muslims find offensive.
What sparked the recent violence was the airing on the internet of a very hateful, very offensive video that has offended many people around the world.
As offensive as this video was, and obviously we've denounced it, and the United States government had nothing to do with it, that's never an excuse for violence.
Take responsibility, and nobody is more committed to getting this right. For me, this is not just a matter of policy, it's personal. I stood next to President Obama as the Marines carried those flag-draped caskets off the plane at Andrews. I put my arms around the mothers and fathers, the sisters and brothers, the sons and daughters, and the wives left alone to raise their children. The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again.
Despite scandals, controversy, etc., Obama is able to squeak by the re-election in 2012. He wanted a government shutdown in 2013. Republicans did not want to fund Obamacare anymore. He made it clear, if they were going to defy him, he had a pin. Then a gun scandal had emerged. At some point during the midpoint of Obama's 8-year run, scandal after scandal would start piling up. An incident would occur where the young man on the left would be shot and killed by the man on the right. It started a controversial race issue. Out of nowhere, this group all of a sudden popped up, coming everywhere. More shootings would occur. This group would emerge in other places.
You need to disperse immediately or you will be subject to arrest.
Ferguson, Missouri was ground zero for major riots.
Tear gas has been thrown, water bottles we witnessed being thrown at police.
Blatant chaos. This time it was over a police officer shooting a young man. It sparked outrage nationwide.
So we need to accept that this decision was the grand jury's to make. We need to recognize that the situation in Ferguson speaks to broader challenges that we still face as a nation. The fact is, in too many parts of this country, a deep distrust exists between law enforcement and communities of color. We need to recognize that this is not just an issue for Ferguson, this is an issue for America. We have made enormous progress in race relations over the course of the past several decades. But what is also true is that there are still problems, and communities of color aren't just making these problems up. Separating that from this particular decision, there are issues in which the law too often feels as if it is being applied in a discriminatory fashion. To those in Ferguson, there are ways of channeling your concerns constructively, and there are ways of channeling your concerns destructively. Michael Brown's parents understand what it means to be constructive.
Well, Mr. Obama, if that were the case, Baltimore's riots could have been prevented. This involved what happened with Freddie Gray. People stirred up and angry. And instead of doing the right thing, it went the other way.
But the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Was it really a slip-up? Or was it a revelation of what our government was doing behind our backs? But it gets worse. A humongous refugee problem. Countries that they were coming from, their economies had imploded. Their next stop was Europe. This is how bad it got. They tried to play the card that it was because of climate change. Climate change had nothing to do with it. Migrants walking into different parts of Europe and Germany, coming in on boats, surging in through parts of Europe, many parts of Europe, France, and Germany. Europe had reached a breaking point with the migrants. Everybody was just putting their promises, her campaign promises, to take over this country. She thought she could pull it off.
National Convention as surreal, comparing it to The Wizard of Oz while avoiding mentioning Melania Trump's plagiarism controversy. Clinton said, "I kept thinking, what's this like? And then I thought, you know, when I was a little girl, I went to see The Wizard of Oz," adding, "and there were similarities that appeared to me. Lots of sound and fury, even a fog machine."
Good evening from the Thomas and Mack Center at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. You are calling for major deportations. Secretary Clinton, you say that within your first 100 days as president, you're going to offer a package that includes a pathway to citizenship.
Raid that brought Osama bin Laden to justice, he was hosting the Celebrity Apprentice.
To avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest with your dealing with the Clinton Foundation while you were Secretary of State, but emails show that donors got special access to you. Those seeking grants for Haiti relief were considered separately from non-donors, and some of those donors got government contracts, taxpayer money. Can you really say that you kept your pledge to that Senate committee, and why isn't what happened and what went on between you and the Clinton Foundation, why isn't it what Mr. Trump calls pay to play?
But I am happy. In fact, I am thrilled to talk about the Clinton Foundation because it is a world-renowned charity, and I am so proud of the work that it does. You know, I could talk for the rest of the debate. I know I don't have the time to do that, but just briefly, the Clinton Foundation made it possible for 11 million people around the world with HIV/AIDS to afford treatment.
Oh, really? What propaganda are you pulling, young lady? Apparently, she didn't read the memo of what actually her Clinton Foundation did in Haiti. Obama and Hillary thought they had this in the bag, but they hit a monster snag. A man that was determined to drain the swamp by any means necessary, stop the corruption. They really thought they had it all in the bag. Their hidden agendas, their secret admissions, all the devious, illegal things that they thought they could get away with.
So to all Americans, in every city, near and far, small and large, from mountain to mountain, from ocean to ocean, hear these words: you will never be ignored again. Your voice, your hopes, and your dreams will define our American destiny. and your courage and goodness and love will forever guide us along the way. Together, we will make America strong again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Maybe these scoundrels should have thought twice before pulling the shenanigans they pulled with this guy. We're in a fight, folks. Stay vigilant. You folks share this video. Thank you.